Hello everyone, we're already in March 2026 and there are a lot of great roguelike or roguelite games coming out. So for today's video, I'll be sharing the best new roguelike or roguelite games you should be playing this March 2026. Well, let's get into the list. Galactic Vault is a fast-paced FPS roguelite set in a future where big corporations control all the technology. You play as a bounty hunter who crashes into enemy ships without warning, blasting through rooms full of enemies on your way to a final boss. That's really all the story you need. The gameplay is a fast-paced, first-person shooter with roguelite elements, so it feels very familiar. You run, jump, shoot, and keep moving. One nice twist is that all weapons have unlimited ammo. Instead of worrying about bullets, you just deal with short reloads, which keeps the action flowing. Even grenades refill every time you enter a new room.
Survivors, an action-packed Survivors-like.
Royal Revolt Survivors takes the familiar Survivor-like formula and gives it its own twist, with more focus on characters, teamwork, and progression. The game follows a typical Survivor-like formula where you enter a battlefield, enemies start swarming in, and your character attacks automatically while you focus on movement, dodging, and choosing upgrades. But what really makes this game stand out is the co-op mode. You can play with up to 4 players, and it completely changes the experience. Instead of just surviving alone, you're working together, supporting each other, and dealing with the chaos as a team. It adds a whole new layer of fun and strategy.
Whether you're diving back into maps on a harder difficulty, going on endless expeditions with unique random events, or trying to farm for
THYSIASTERY is a turn-based dungeon crawler roguelike with a strong retro style and a mysterious atmosphere. As you explore deeper into the dungeon, the world keeps changing. You'll discover hidden forests, underwater cities, and all kinds of ancient secrets. Along the way, you'll meet new characters, recruit them to your team, and slowly build a party that can survive what's ahead. The game has some really strong and interesting mechanics that make it stand out. The way you build your characters is especially cool since they can actually teach skills to each other, which opens up a lot of possibilities. The combat also feels deep, with a big focus on weaknesses, critical hits, and managing your actions carefully. Net.Attack is a really solid game that blends multiple genres into one unique experience. It mixes Survivor-like gameplay with weapon crafting, a bit of tower defense, and even some light programming logic, all working together surprisingly well. Your main goal is to extract data by standing on specific points before the timer runs out, but it's not that simple. While doing that, you'll also be fighting off waves of enemies and constantly upgrading your build just to stay alive. At the same time, you're building your attacks using a simple programming system. It might sound complicated, but it's actually very easy to understand. The game explains everything clearly, and you can adjust your setup anytime during a run, so you're free to experiment without being locked into one strategy. Sculplings is a creature-collecting roguelike, but with a really unique twist. Every monster in this game is actually made from real clay, then scanned into the game, and yeah, it looks as cool as it sounds. In this game, your goal is simple: build a team of monsters and fight your way to become the #1 Sculpling champion. But since it's a roguelike, every run is different. The game is already super addictive, and a big reason why is its charm. Every monster is literally handmade from clay, and it gives the game such a unique and cozy feel. The dialogue also stands out, with a lot of funny and light moments that will keep you smiling while you play, making it feel like a relaxing escape even though you're still battling through runs.
the world.
Grind Survivors is a fast-paced action roguelike where you play as a demon hunter, fighting endless waves of enemies in a brutal bullet hell world. If you've played games like Vampire Survivors, you'll feel right at home here. The game has a solid foundation, fun gameplay, and a lot of potential. But at the same time, there are a few issues that hold it back from being one of the best. First, let's talk about weapons. There are a lot of them, which is great, but the balance feels off. Some weapons are extremely strong, like the Tesla gun, while others feel way too weak, especially in later stages. Because of that, you'll often feel forced to pick the same powerful options instead of experimenting.
Precision is power. Your bullets.
Timber Rush is a simple game where all you do is chop a tree. But don't let that fool you. This game gets addictive really fast. At the start, it's very basic. You swing your axe, collect logs, and use them to buy small upgrades. Everything feels slow and manual, like every click matters. But as you keep playing, things start to change. You unlock automation, passive bonuses, and suddenly, the game starts playing itself. What used to feel slow becomes fast, chaotic, and full of explosions of resources. And honestly, that progression feels really satisfying. Rogue Monster Rush is a mix of tower defense, roguelike, and monster collecting all in one game. Your goal is simple. You defend your base from waves of invading robots, but instead of just placing towers, you're using monsters that you hatch during your run. At its core, it still plays like a traditional tower defense. You're constantly thinking about positioning, upgrades, and how to survive tougher and tougher waves. All of this is combined with the monster hatching mechanic. You never fully know what you're going to get, so every run feels a little different. That randomness adds excitement and keeps things from feeling repetitive. Pluto is a roguelike deck builder. But instead of just playing cards, you actually cast spells with your fingers. Instead of just picking cards and pressing play, you create spells by drawing patterns with your fingers. Different patterns create different spells, and some of them can overlap or combine in unexpected ways. In this game, there are multiple characters, and each character has their own unique set of items, which gives you a reason to replay the game multiple times and discover everything. And there's also a really nice story detail. Every character is just trying to escape prison so they can go to their niece's birthday party. It's a simple and wholesome goal in a chaotic world, and it somehow makes every win feel even better. Bloodgrounds is a mix of turn-based strategy, roguelite, and management, all set in a brutal gladiator arena. The core gameplay is about building and leading your team. You recruit gladiators, train them, gear them up, and send them into battle. This game is honestly fantastic, and it really reminds me of Darkest Dungeon, especially that feeling of starting from nothing, slowly building up your team, losing some of your fighters along the way, and then rebuilding again. That loop is a big part of the experience, and it feels really satisfying every time you push forward. Cinderia is a dark fantasy action roguelite where you play as one of the few survivors in a world destroyed by a witch's curse. Gameplay-wise, it feels similar to games like Hades or Dead Cells. Fast combat, smooth movement, and every run feels different. But what really makes Cinderia stand out is its main system, Ember Fusion. During a run, you collect embers, basically pieces of magic. You combine them with your skills to completely change how those skills work. For example, a simple attack can turn into an ice version that slows enemies, or a shadow version that plays completely differently. So instead of just upgrading skills, you're actually transforming them. Dice with Death is roguelike deck builder where you literally play dice with death. Yeah, that's the whole idea. It's basically a mix between Farkle and poker, where you roll dice, build points, and decide, do you stop now or risk it and keep going? Because if you push too far, you can lose everything. The vibe of the game is actually pretty chill. Between rounds, there are small story moments, and Death himself is surprisingly relaxed. He's just sitting there playing dice with you while you wait for the end, which sounds dark, but somehow feels calm.
This is a game where magic is your weapon and chaos is your play.
Runeborn is a dark fantasy roguelike that mixes deck building with a slot machine. Instead of playing cards normally, you spin rune columns like slot reels. When they stop, you match symbols across lines to cast spells and deal damage. And the cool part is, you can lock certain runes in place while the others keep spinning, giving you more control over your combos. As you play, you will build your own rune book. You can add or remove runes, upgrade them, and even boost them with special effects like auras and amulets. So every run feels customizable depending on your playstyle. This game is really fun. The easiest way to describe it is a Balatro-like, but with its own unique style.
Conquer bosses, and if you're feeling brave, crank up the difficulty. Every run's a new adventure, a new strategy, a new chance to break the game in the best way possible.
RACCOIN turns that frustrating arcade machines experience into something insanely satisfying. The basic idea is simple. Each round, you get a limited number of coins, and your goal is to reach a target score. The better you play, the more rewards you earn, which you can use to buy upgrades like special coins, power-ups, and passive bonuses. At first, it feels straightforward. You just drop more coins, get bigger payouts, and enjoy the chaos. But the more you play, the more the game starts to change. It's not just about dropping coins anymore, you're actually building something inside the machine. It sounds weird, but it all connects in a really clever way. If you loved the first Slay the Spire, then honestly Slay the Spire 2 is one of the easiest recommendations ever. It feels very similar to the original, and that's actually a good thing. But if you already spent hundreds of hours in the first game, the sequel still feels fresh. The returning characters have been reworked, there are new classes to learn, tougher bosses to fight, and now there's even co-op. There are also more events and small quests during runs, which make each playthrough feel more dynamic. Plus, every act now gives you powerful bonuses with downsides, so every run feels like a gamble from the start. That's all for today's list. Subscribe and like for more exciting new roguelike and roguelite games. That's it, and see you next time.